Hello and welcome everyone, Lanhar here with a first look and overview of the new DLC released for Rome 2 today, Wrath of Sparta. So obviously you get this new graphic on the front end menu, which I do think looks rather awesome. But obviously the main content we want to see is the Wrath of Sparta campaign. 4 playable factions: Athens, the Boeotian League, probably said that horrifically wrong, Corinth, and of course Sparta. Now what I'll be doing with this overview is briefly going through the various traits that each of these have. Then we'll be loading into the game and looking at each faction's starting location, their diplomacy, and giving you guys a sense of what to expect should you choose to pick up this DLC and play a campaign with one of these 4 factions. So I hope you enjoy. So sit back, relax, and let's have a look at what's going on. So Athens, wooden wall, +1 recruitment slots in all ports, centre of culture, +10% all cultural income, all regions, dream of empire, -10% happiness in all regions, all provinces. Boeotian League, rival of Athens, -20% diplomatic relations with all Ionian factions. Confederacy, -10% tax rate in all regions, all provinces, and rising military, +10% morale for all units. That's pretty cool. And of course Sparta, Spartanate, +1 experience for all Spartan units. Lack of subtlety, -1 for all agent attributes, zeal, authority, cunning, or characters. And helots, +100% wealth from slaves, all provinces. Okay, so definitely a big push on, building up the economy from slave buildings and slave trade and things like that. So let's jump on into the camera. We'll start off by looking at Sparta. There's an intro cinematic to have a look at as well, so I'll sit back and shut up and let you guys enjoy it.
We are exposed to threats from across the Aegean, and our people will suffer. If the Corinthians want war, they should seek it alone.
You would see all of Greece under the heel of Athenae, cowering from them like chided slaves. We spilled blood at Potidea, but now we need allies. The might of Sparta will halt their ambition.
Your flattery is wasted. You know not what you ask.
All eyes look on Sparta, and this is what you would have them see. From birth, a Spartan is trained for one purpose: to do battle.
You are Pandora, clutching at a vessel you do not understand.
They dare think themselves your equal. None can match your skill. It is every Spartan's duty to embody the very nature of war. Strike now, I beg you!
You would plunge Greece into chaos.
Then from chaos, we will rise!
40 years have passed since our great victories over the Persians. It should have been the start of our golden age, but instead we squabble amongst ourselves. The Hellenic League, formed to take the fight to the invaders, did not last. Suspicious of the ambitions of Athena, Sparta and many other great city-states left. They were right to be suspicious. Athena has turned the league they formed into an empire under their control. It is now less a collection of independent cities and more a series of bases for their powerful navy. In the face of Athenian hegemony, Sparta has reformed the Peloponnesian League with Corinth and the smaller Boeotian League of cities. As these 2 powerful groups face off against each other, war is brewing. Let us not forget the Persians. Their empire still stands, and keeps a careful eye on developments in Greece to make sure that no single group becomes too powerful. Sparta has every right to mistrust the Athenians. Barely 10 years prior, Athena fought a war against their ally, Corinth. Athenian arrogance has now become too great for the Spartans to bear. However, Athena's greatest strength is also their biggest, most exploitable weakness. Athena's wooden wall, the fleet that guarantees their dominance at sea, is no match for the elite hoplites of Sparta. Sparta's aim is to cripple Athena on land to prevent its navy becoming too large. Since the mines at Lavrio provide much of the city's income, and therefore its shipbuilding capabilities, their loss would be devastating. Once Lavrio has been captured, Athena itself should be the next target. It is the key to dominance over all Greeks.
So, quite the story that's been set in front of us. Playing as Sparta, plenty of things to consider. And we'll start things off by having a look at the diplomacy and basically getting an idea of what's what and who's who. So, Sparta starts off at war with 4 factions: the Ionian League, Byzantion, Athena, or Athens, and Rhodes. They're allied to Elis, Corinth, and the Boeotian League. So, 3 allies, 4 enemies. Argos is open for an assault, not allied to anyone, so that could be some lands to quickly push into and gain some extra land. Similarly, the Boeotian League is open, as is the Aetolian League. So lots of kind of smaller leagues and groups open to assault if you want to consolidate. But it's going to be interesting to see how quickly you'll need to go after Athens or weaken them before they become too powerful. Athens, as you can see, has land all over here, but we'll have a look at Athens' starting position when I look at that faction in a moment. So that's the diplomacy for Sparta. Technology, we've got citizen conscription, army, navy, and support. With civil through epistemology, mathematics, aesthetics, and philosophy. Start off with a noble outside Sparta. And as you can see, we've got Spartan hoplites in the army, along with Peroikoi hoplites, light cav, and Helot javelin men. Royal Spartans there as well. So they've been slightly redone, the unit cards there. Units themselves getting a bit of a tweak as well. Now you'll notice it takes 4 turns for Spartan hoplites to be built. I believe it's 12 turns per year in this campaign. So 1 for each month. Takes 2 turns for Peroikoi hoplites, Spartan youths, slingers, helots, javelin men, as well as cavalry. So it's kind of to, you know, stop you just being able to spam out armies. You have to pick and choose which units are really going to be most effective. Would you take the extra longer time to build up the more elite Spartan hoplite units, or do you go for Peroikoi early on? You have another army over here, the Sons of Ares, which you could combine with your army at Sparta, and then potentially push to take Argos quickly, and then Mantinia. Probably all the pronunciations in this, I should say, are going to be absolutely butchered. But anyway, so go away, Sparta. I don't need to look at that. So you've got reasonable economy to start with. You've got 4,000 to start with. You'll probably want to get that food surplus sorted out pretty early on. As far as I can tell, no, you have no fleet, but you also have Lamia up here, and that gives you close striking distance to go after. Is that Oreos or Oreos? Quick, they have the biscuits. So you've got another army up here, which you could probably do a quick strike on them there and potentially levy some pressure onto Athens early on. If Thebes can hold the line a little bit and take some Athenian pressure, you might be able to then push on up and take them out if you consolidated your lands. Anyway, I think that's all we need to look at with Sparta. Let's jump on over now and have a look at what Athens has to offer.
Athena is already at war. Clashes with Corinthus have begun. In the west, the island of Corcyra has appealed to the Athenians for help against its colonial masters. A fleet has already been dispatched to help them. To the north, Olynthus has become a target. Far from its homeland, it is a target ripe for conquest. It is vital that Athena hold all of its cities and meet Spartan military might on land with its impressive navy. True dominance over all of Greece awaits the victor.
So, there we have it. Athens has plenty to consider with its starting location. Economy, nearly double that of Sparta to start with, and food is looking a lot stronger. Also, I didn't touch on it last time, but the Persian Empire, as we can see here, has a lot of land over in the east, and they are still a threat. Now, as far as I understand it, they have, it's kind of like a civil war mechanic, potentially, as if you get, you can, still looks like you can have a civil war within this, but also if I would assume if your Imperium level gets too high, then I believe the Persians send in some pretty powerful and stacked armies against you. So, plenty to concern yourself with playing as any of the Greek factions in this DLC. With Athens, they obviously start off with a huge empire. I mean, you can probably see we own 21 regions when we start covering 4 provinces. So you should, I guess you probably, while you want to hold off the various factions that you're at war with, you want to try and build up your economy as quickly as possible, because you have the opportunity to turn this into a very rich economy, which you can then obviously divert all the funds straight into your navy and army. Let's have a look at the diplomacy for Athens. So we start off at war with 5 factions. Elias, Sparta, Corinthos, Boeotian League, and Thrace, or I assume that's what, Thracia. Probably the same faction banner as Thrace or the Adresians. We are military allies with Kyra, Byzantion, and Rhodes. And we have the Ionian League as our clients, and the Thessalian League as our defensive allies. Okay, God, I'm butchering a fair few pronunciations today. Pretty darn good. So again, there's a fair few factions that are staying out of it as well for now. You've got Macedon, obviously up here, or Macedon in the north, which potentially might be worth seeing if you can crush them. Then you'll have a complete control along the north. Obviously, you're going to probably want to put pressure onto Sparta early on if you can, or the Boeotian League. Take them out there, and then you can move into the southernmost point of Greece. With that, you'll probably be one of the first factions that gets hit by the Persians, if you're not careful. I mean, objective-wise, what do we need for a military victory? You have to hold 55 settlements. You start off by holding 36 through, obviously, your military allies and clients and what have you. Various regions to hold. So essentially, you just need to push west a little bit, and then push south, and you'll claim a victory. And obviously, continue to maintain a powerful navy and build up a reasonable army. Okay. Again, I believe the technology is exactly the same across all the factions here. Yep. So, that's a look at Athens. Let's go and have a look at the Boeotian League before we then head on over to Corinthos, or Corinth.
The Boeotian League has suffered at the hands of Athena. Just over a decade before, it tried to annex Boeotian lands, and was only prevented from doing so by Spartan intervention. Now, as an ally of mighty Sparta, the Boeotians can finally take revenge. The Athenian colonies in the north are weak compared to their mother city, so should be an easy target. Thessalia also is ripe for conquest. Although currently neutral, it is rumored to favor Athena. Following its conquest, the best horses in Greece will be at the League's command. Surely, it is time for Boeotian hegemony over Greece.
So again, another faction driven by its own ambition now. Even though they've got this treaty with Sparta, I guess, to deal with Athens first because they've become the big superpower within Greece. They still have their own interests at heart to start with, so let's kick things off again by looking at the diplomacy. Elias, Sparta and Corinthos as military allies, and at war with the Ionian League, Byzantion, Athens, and Rhodes. Well, I'm calling it's Rhodes, but it's Rhodos. Just realised that. Rhodes or Rhodos. That's it. Change the name of them all in between each campaign to confuse me more. Right. So as you can see by the map, nobody really likes Athens at all. Athens is not loved here, except by the Thessalian League, which it was suggested to us that we had a look at going to attack them, because their only defensive ally is Athens, and we're already looking to take them out anyway, so that may be worth a push there. However, a little bit annoying that you can't issue a provincial edict when you first start, because Sparta has Lamia, so you'll have to probably live with that, because you may well need Sparta later on. Don't know, depends if you want to double cross them or not. You have a couple of armies. So that's something I didn't look at with Athens, but they had multiple forces to start with. But yeah, you have a couple of armies. We have a warrior here, and in fact, it is just the 3 regions owned in this small collection here. So you're really gonna need to, I guess you're closest to Athens, within its closest striking distance, so you're going to probably want to pull your force from Delphi, or unless you want to strike out quickly and take out Athens over in the west and try and weaken their position there. But most likely you're probably going to have to defend for a couple of turns while you take a few hits from Athens as they try and venture into your territory. Again, objectives, 55 settlements, etc. That seems pretty solid. Anyway, take a look at their starting location and the challenges that they're going to have to face. Let's wrap it up by going over to Corinth and the challenges they'll have to face in Wrath of Sparta.
Athena's navy may be great, but the engineers of Corinthos invented the trireme warships that make up the fleet. As its colonies are scattered across Greece, there is much for Corinthos to defend. Olynthos is in need of protection, and the rebellious Corcyra must be secured. Once Athena is weakened, it is Corinthos that is ideally placed to take over its many island holdings. When the sea is controlled, Corinthos can reveal itself as the true power in Greece. The founder of so many other cities will become the greatest of all.
So once again, another intro, another story woven. Work with your allies for now. Take out Athens, and then claim power for yourselves. I like your style, Corinthos. I like it. Anyway, quick look at the forces before we go into diplomacy. Obviously, I didn't do this with Athens. They had many forces, and again, I'm not really too bothered about looking at the units as such that you'll get here. There's a few new units for each faction, but this overview is to give you guys an idea of the starting position and diplomatic status for each of these factions. And starting off, we do have a couple of armies for Athens, all spread out. You'll want to be building them up and obviously improving your navy as much as possible. Anyway, for Corinth, we have this army outside Corinthos itself. A navy here, which that intro suggested we should be able to take on Athens with reasonable success. We have another one up here, and we may want to deploy this over to Corcyra, which seems to be quite a focal point for a couple of factions now. Athens has already dispatched a fleet. Corinth has a few armies, so again, if you're quick, you can probably make some quick gains against Athens. Again, this settlement here. And over here as well, you may well be able to remove Athens from the west entirely and force them over to the east, where you can then put pressure on them with your other Hellenic allies. So let's have a look at the diplomacy. The same allies and the same enemies, obviously, with the addition of Corcyra added in as well. Technology seems to be the same. Again, victory conditions, or rather objectives. You'll need 45 settlements this time to win with Corinth, so that's not too bad for them either. You already start off with 15, control 6 provinces. Although, wow, you do have to expand out a fair bit. Okay, that's pushing you... Wow, really? That's pushing you all over to Rhodos or Rhodes. Damn. That's going to be a pain. So, plenty to think about, and you have various families as well, which could be fun if civil war kicks off, if you don't keep that under control. Starting off with very low Imperium though, so that's quite useful, quite helpful. 5 region zone and 1 province, so obviously you can issue an edict straight away, not down here, but up over here. As I said with Sparta, Argos may well be a reasonable target you could swoop in and take. You just will have to be mindful that if you leave Corinth open, Athens may push down. Although you're going to spawn, you know, reasonable garrison and fleet, you could always leave this fleet here rather than pushing up against Athens early on. That might be the better choice, while you quickly throw in a few more units here. Again, having to wait 2 turns because of the 12 turns per year, each obviously going for 1 season, or 1 month rather, spread out across the seasons there. So Argos, as I said, may well be a tempting target for you to take if you can quickly rally the men. Sparta at a disadvantage if it wants to get some of its more powerful troops of Spartan hoplites early on. They're taking 4 turns, but if you do go for those Spartan hoplites early with Sparta, you may well have the advantage, especially on land, which seems to be the advice the advisors have given us. Anyway, that's the final faction to look at here in the Wrath of Sparta. DLC for Total War Rome 2. So again, I hope you enjoyed this overview, looking at the starting locations and diplomacy, and potentially giving some insight and some thoughts on where you might want to push or where not to go with each of those factions. Don't forget to let me know in the comments which faction you'll be playing as in your various campaigns if you've picked up this DLC. And as always, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. All links are in the description, and I will see you all again soon. Until next time, ciao for now.